Welcome back, Wolfpack. Vrolas here, and this is how to use Watchog. Now, since Watchog is early on the Pokedex, I anticipated it to be a very mediocre Pokemon, so I even had a little half-assed skit planned for it. If Watchog was a magician, its skill would be something like this. Sleight of hand. However, after reviewing it a bit before the video, I realized it's okay. Wait, really? Good, I suck at magic. So looking at stats, it's actually not going to look that great of a Pokemon from just its stats. So when we break it down, yeah, that's not a lot of usability. 69 on the defenses, and then 60 on the hit points, and almost no speed, and 85 is its highest stat. What was I talking about earlier? 85 is its highest stat. This is not good at all. So that's kind of like when we look at Watchog, we don't think too much of it. But I just said it's okay, like barely usable, but better than nothing. So let's go and look at its typing really quick. Normal typing, we've seen it before: weakness, fighting, immunity, ghost. It does reliable things, and it doesn't have a super solid amount of resist. But let's go into Pokemon Showdown. See that Watchog actually is a decent Pokemon because of the way that everything breaks down just right for Watchog. So by just hopping over to Bulbapedia and looking at its moves, it's a normal type Pokemon, and it gets a lot of really good type coverage. We have Steel, we have Poison, Ice, Fire, Fighting, we have all sorts of crazy things. Seed Bomb, Shockwave, Thunder Punch, we get Elemental Punches, we get all sorts of crazy coverage, and that's why we want to go back to Pokemon Showdown and just see, we can use that knockoff, we can utilize the return for a little bit of damage, we can also put in whatever move right here. Fire Punch is going to help out with coverage against Pokemon like Ferrothorn and Scizor, and if we wanted to put Seed Bomb, that gives us damage against Rotom and other Pokemon like Swampert that are going to be 4 times weak. So if we find those specific weaknesses, we're going to do really well, which actually makes me think you don't even need return that much. If we're just going for like very specific 1-hit KO or 2-hit KO situations against bulkier Pokemon, return isn't going to do much for us, so we're just going to be this rainbow of coverage. Now, what I've been seeing for Watchog is people will say, alright, you invest in its speed, you maybe give it Adamant, you maybe give it Jolly, you give it a Life Orb, and you hope for the best. But actually, I feel that that's the wrong take on Watchog because it does have the Analytic ability. Analytic, this Pokemon's attacks have 30% more power if it is the last to move in a turn. Well, then we should kind of do it the other way around. We should just go with a Brave nature and hope for the best, that by lowering our speed, maxing out our hit points, we're actually okay. Base 60 hit points, even fully invested, doesn't make a tanky Pokemon, but it means we're now a borderline 2-shottable Pokemon. So all we have to do is take that hit, have our Analytic proc, and then go for Choice Band. With Choice Band, it means we're going to get even more damage, so with that super effective and all those other things stacking up, we might be able to cheese out some KOs, and that's really all there is to Watchog. That with Muscle Band, there's not enough damage to actually secure KOs, you have to be Choice Banded, and you pretty much just can't die, but then you return a stronger hit, and then you get an easy revenge afterwards. But that's the thing, Watchog is not absolutely useless. It can actually convert a 1-for-1 trade pretty decently as a revenge. So I did a couple of damage calculations. Now, the interesting thing is, say if we have Adamant, Analytic, Choice Band, all these things, and we're going up against Mega Kangaskhan, we have great 1-hit KO potential, 93.8%. Say it's like 4 hit point EVs, that doesn't really change anything. We're going to get that damage, the super effective hit. Low kick is really good on Watchog when we have all of this. Now, another interesting thing is return doesn't have a direct chance of KOing us. Now, this is with full defensive investment. With full hit point investment, it does change around a bit, so now it's always going to return KO us. But here's the thing, like if we're running full bulk just as Kangaskhan, of course that doesn't make any sense, and of course it's going to be fairly specific. But however, that does somewhat give us options against other physical Pokemon, as long as we're finding that super effective hit back. So let's just disregard all that and say Kangaskhan gets cocky, that it sees a Watchog there, so why not just throw up a Power Punch? That Power Punch with full hit point investment is going to get really close to one-shotting you. Yeah, that's how frail this Pokemon is. Mega Kangaskhan's Power Punch will almost knock you out. But if they don't anticipate your damage, you just one-shot them back. So it's kind of like playing off of a misplay or overconfidence, that Kangaskhan's looking for that opportunity to set up the Power Punches. So say if your Pokemon goes down to a direct return or Sucker Punch or some kind of combo like that, you just bring in Watchog, and if they don't go for the return, you're going to be able to KO them. And say if you have full defensive investment, there's a chance you survive. So while it isn't complete guaranteed high level Pokemon competitive play, it still shows Watchog is good, and same with Heatran, and even on some bulky Heatran set. So an offensive or a full hit point, no defensive invested Heatran, like if it's special defensive, you're actually going to be able to KO it with the low kick because of Adamant, Analytic, Choice Band, and since you are on the same speed tier, that's why we need that Brave nature. We need to make sure we're slower than them, and then the damage comes through, not enough to knock us out directly. Even something like a Fire Blast Fire Blast is going to get close, and on offensive sets, it's going to be a lot closer depending on like what the Heat Train is running. But if we survive, Low Kick's enough damage to KO because of that analytic with Choice Band, and then same for some other things. Ferrothorn, we're in really good 2-shot range for Ferrothorn. Ferrothorn doesn't one-shot us. Fire Punch is going to be better in this situation. I have Fire Punch and Low Kick, so it just kind of shows. With the right high damage coverage, if we're running Ice Punch instead, Ice Punch is going to give us some really good things. So say we put Ice Punch because we don't need the return. We've already proved that we just need super effective hits. So we can take a Pokemon like Garchomp even. Garchomp, you Ice Punch it. It says 103 and 91 and something, but that's without hit point investment. So we tack on 252 EVs, and now we survive a Draco Meteor from a Mixed Chomp, or say if we go like 252, we get close on surviving Earthquakes from a Life Orb Naive Nature. So that just kind of shows like what we're doing, and it shows why the defensive set, if we go like pure defensive, it's just very, very specific things. But there are these weird cases where Watchog just does well with the right amount of coverage because of that analytic. So the analytic makes it completely not absolute trash with that Choice Band. You just kind of run it in, like you see the Pokemon, you're like, wait, I know this matchup. I survive its hit. If it goes for setup, that's going to be free KO. And if not, I trade 1 for 1 at a pretty good chance. So Watchog, it can actually do a thing. Now, if we also want to look at Watchog from a Keen Eye standpoint, well, Keen Eye ignores accuracy lowering and evasion boosting, so that means we're going to be able to hit evasion boosting Pokemon all the time, and with moves like Super Fang, you can actually clean up evasion boosting Pokemon really well. Super Fang them down to half unless it's Chandelure or Drifblim or whatever other Pokemon's using Double Team or something. That's going to be half their health gone for free because of Keen Eye. They're wasting turns thinking they can out-minimize you, while you're just getting free damage. After that, you have access to Confuse Ray. What I would personally do is use Lead with Confuse Ray. So you use Confuse Ray, say they still get off their evasion, whatever, well now they have a chance of hitting themselves, taking free damage, and if they're still trying to outboost over your Keen Eye, you use Knock Off, remove their item, and that's probably going to be a KO. We go full attack investment, we have like the hit points and stuff. I think Citrus Berry, just in case they like try to do something to do a little bit of damage to, you can overwhelm them just a bit. Or if you're also like, say you've removed their Pokemon, you force them to switch out, they understand that your Keen Eye isn't working, well that's going to give you some decent opportunities, free Confuse Ray on the opponent. If they hit you, Citrus Berry might heal you up just enough, then you use Knock Off Low Kick or whatever other moves you need right there, and that's going to bring together your coverage. So there we go, Watchog. Not a great Pokemon, not making any of those claims, but at the same time, if you want a good cheesy Pokemon, you want to say, ha, I have a Watchog on my team, and it just knocked out your Garchomp, or traded with your Kangaskhan, depending on how your opponent plays, or depending on whatever set you're running. You can do some funny things with Watchog, and you can say, well, my Watchog scored a KO, it contributed to the battle, cool stuff. Or if you want to also just have some kind of evasion dodging, and you really like Watchog, you can do that as well. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Watchog. I hope you all have a nice day. Thank you for watching.